good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. My name is Magdalena Ponorska, and I'm here with the Global Montessori Network. Today we wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk to you about reopening our schools. We're all very excited about the opportunity, but at the same time, very anxious. With me, I have Joanne Shango, who graciously agreed to give us best practices, guidelines, and tips on how to reopen in a safe, healthy manner. Joanne, thank you for being with us here today.
Hi, Magdalena. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Joanne Shango. I'm the head of school at the Montessori School Rochester and co-founder with Magdalena of the Global Montessori Network. I'm very excited to be here and share with you some support to successfully reopen our schools post-pandemic.
So we all know that communication is the key to success. Can you give us best practices, ideas on how to communicate effectively, internally and externally?
Yes, as always, you want to review your data. So you want to go pre-pandemic and review your communication plans, your strategies, what was working internally and what was working externally. You want to review what wasn't being used at all. And then you want to look at the communication that you've been using and the technology that you have become comfortable and successful using during this crisis as you've been working on your distance learning platforms in whatever capacity. Once you have a strong assessment of the communication that worked prior and the new technology that you have developed success with during this distance learning, you will then begin to prepare your new communication strategies, both internally for your guides as well as for your families. It's important to reassess and communicate with everyone in your community that you have readdressed your communications. This is going to give a measure of security to all involved that we're moving forward in this new normal.
So let's talk a little bit about the perspective of administration. So as administrators, should we have two different staffing plans?
Yes, I think you're really going to have to take into consideration, particularly as you had created the initial survey and submitted that to your families and to your guides, you need to analyze the data that you came up with. And you may find, as we have found, that there may be an important component for at some length of time of a distance learning platform concurrent with school inside of your communities. And with that, you're almost going to need to address those as two different staffing plans, two different essentially schools that you're operating. And with that, you're going to create two different staffing plans. This is really important, particularly for your school community that has children, so that there isn't a point that if we reach a communication that somebody is sick and must go home immediately, that you can address and have a person in place that is not being used on your distance learning platform. You really can't rely on the two different staffing plans to support each other. So that's really of the utmost importance, and that has to be communicated to your guiding team so that they understand the limitations but also the support so that everybody can stay comfortable and healthy as we move forward in this new normal.
Yeah, so great point. Definitely do not rely on guides that are doing the distance learning.
Absolutely not.
Since we're talking about the distance learning platform, how do we go about planning for summer and distance learning? What do we do about that?
That's an excellent question. I think, again, you have to really look and take into consideration the new guidelines you're going to be putting into place for class size, how that will affect playground, how large your playground space is. If there is more freedom, you might also need to reassess games that you're going to have to introduce to your students to replace some games that were maybe a little bit more physical and interactive. These are really important as you create your summer plan. The distance learning, I think you're going to have to become creative to get the kids outside while still providing support. Our summer camp programs are always Montessori outdoors, and we think that that's pivotal and important. The outdoor classroom is extraordinary and provides a plethora of experiences for children, and I think you want to maximize that with your families that choose the distance learning platform as well as your guides. In regards to the summer program at school, this is a time to be really creative about your marketing as well. This is a time to be able to bring new students into your communities, introduce them to Montessori and everything you have to offer, while providing the safety and assurance for the care and health of everybody involved at the school.
Wonderful. So you touched on marketing, which we'll be talking in depth in our next segment. So stay tuned.